Let's call the City of Milton Common Council meeting to order Tuesday, August 15th, 2023 at 6 p.m. And can I get confirmation of appropriate meeting notice?
Meeting notice was posted at Milton City Hall, Milton Piggly Wiggly, and Hometown Ace Hardware.
Okay, the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
I would like to make a motion to move the 11C team building exercise to
After approving the agenda.
after approving the agenda, on the agenda.
I would second that amendment.
So Mark, how does that work when Speedy Gonzalez is over here?
Why the change? We have a motion. Why the change?
Because
Because we're doing our team building first because it's City Hall Selfie Day.
Oh, just the memo.
Well, procedurally is if there's a motion, a second, and then there's a motion to amend the motion and a second, then you'd vote first on the motion to amend, and then if that passes, then you vote on that.
Got it?
So we're voting twice. Once the motion.
Right.
Amendment and at the same time.
Okay. There's been a motion to amend the agenda to move team building up, and there's been a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, now there's been a motion to approve the agenda as amended, and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, welcome to team building with the City of Milton, and today is City Hall Selfie Day. So all of us are going to be going out in front of City Hall to take our picture to show our support of the City of Milton. So typically anybody in the audience that's here for when we do team building participates in team building. So thank you in advance for joining us for City Hall Selfie Day. And our attorney will take the picture.
I'm going to add a little bit too. So this is something that's not just in the city of Milton. It's actually nationwide and it's international too. Is where what they've picked August 15th as the day that you show your community pride, and they're doing it not only in front of City Hall but any government building. So that is something that's encouraged in the government world. So thank you for participating.
So you can not only take your picture in front of City Hall, you can take it in front of the police department, the library, the DPW building, and the fire department. So there's a multitude of locations, and there's also Storybook Gardens, which is a lovely place to take a City Hall Selfie Day. So we'll go outside now, and there's shade, so we won't have to squint a lot, because I thought, oh, this is going to be terrible because we're going to face west. But there's enough shade for us to squish into one little shady spot.
Go ahead and push the button in, man.
I don't know where Linda is. Okay, so we have our agenda approved, our team building done, and now we will do our Pledge of Allegiance, keeping that heart rate up. All right, public comments regarding items which can be affected by council action. So if you're signed up to speak, and we have one person that's signed up to speak, you can speak now. Say your first and last name, or you can wait until that agenda item comes up. So your choice. So if you're not at the mic in 3, 2, 1, all right, we'll get going. Approval of the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? All right, discussion and possible action regarding ordinance 2023-521, amending the ordinance for the keeping of chickens. Is anybody here that would like to speak on the keeping of chickens? All right, Jenny?
So at the August 1st council meeting, we had a resident request that the city council review the maximum number of chickens allowed within the city. And at that time it was 4, and that's what our current ordinance says is 4. Council directed staff to prepare an ordinance that increased the maximum number of chickens to 8. And now that ordinance is in front of the council this evening for discussion.
I would move approval of ordinance 2023-521, amending the ordinance for keeping chickens, approve the first reading, waive the second and third, and adopt.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? All right, that motion carries. Discussion and possible action regarding a request to allow ATV and UTV routes within the city of Milton. And we do have someone signed up to speak. If you would, yep, go ahead. First and last name and your address, please.
My name is James Brick. I reside at 5868 North Goodyear Drive in Milton, Wisconsin. So I'm here today to talk to the board about opening up the city streets for ATV, UTV use. In the state of Wisconsin, there's almost 500,000 registered ATVs out there. This has an economic impact of approximately $1.126 billion to the industry. Our main goal here, we would work with Harmony and Lima Johnstown, and Harmony has signed, and the signs are being made and ready to be installed. Lima and Johnstown are writing their ordinances currently. We're doing this with our main goal is to get into the city of Milton, to get to businesses, get gas, food, and with the routes in that opening up here, people who live in the area won't have to trailer up north, which is going to increase the economy in this city. We have a majority of the businesses I feel are on our side. We had a meat raffle recently, and majority of them gave us donations, cash, prizes to raffle off. I'm not a very good speaker, so.
You're doing just fine.
All right.
You're doing great.
So that's why we're asking the city to open up all their streets. The residents here, we don't want to minimize the amount of streets that are available, because if you eliminate some streets, the people who live on those streets will not be able to access the routes. They won't be able to leave their house. And I have some packets here as information for the board. Here is all the ordinances that are proposed from Harmony Township. signed, ready to go. I have a packet here of information for ATV route guidelines and suggestions for the city. This will answer a lot of the questions that you guys may have. And I know one of the concerns was Highway 59 and County M. This here talks about the Wisconsin state statutes that allow municipalities that have these roads going through their municipality, if the speed limit is under 35 miles an hour, that those are eligible without, you do not have to have DOT approval to get them open. So here's these packets of information for you. I print them out for everybody, but some are like 24 pages long and good nighttime reading. So we just wish that you consider to follow through and allow the routes to be open. Our local club, the Rock County Crawlers, will foot the bill for the signage to be put up and the signs to be purchased. I believe Harmony Township, the Public Works Department, determined where the signs needed to be and everything. And that's about it. Drawing a blank now, but.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments for right now? I know you all didn't get the packets, and it's a lot to look at tonight. But just for right now, do you have some questions or comments?
I do have a question. It sounds as if what you are requesting is sort of a blanket as opposed to specific routes within the city.
Correct.
Is that correct?
It becomes very difficult to determine which roads can and can't, and people get confused, and then they'll go down the wrong way and not see the signs. And plus, also, like I said, people who live on those roads, they may want to ride. Now they can't even leave their house because they can't drive 100 feet to get to the actual route.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Chief, do you have any concerns on something like this?
I don't have concerns. I don't know a lot about the topic. I know it's become a pretty popular thing in areas around the state. I've just generally nothing pops to mind that would overly concern me from a safety standpoint. I know DOT has the regulations that must be followed, and then the municipality would have to establish rules that are in compliance with DOT regulations. I think there are some other municipalities have seen some quality of life issues with noise and traffic flow and things like that I think bear consideration, but I don't come down on either side at this point.
Any other questions or comments, Bill?
I do believe the other thing that we'll need to look into is the signage requirements. The county did pass a resolution essentially opening up with the idea of creating some standardization. My reading of that resolution would mean we'd need a whole lot of signs in town. If it's essentially at every street. And I think we need to look into that because the way that the county resolution is written, it's the city's responsibility. I believe the county sign shop is actually making the signs.
Yes, they are.
But in fact, the city would be responsible for putting up those signs and maintaining those signs. And so, I think we need to understand what it is that we're committing ourselves to in terms of ongoing maintenance.
Yeah, if I may,
Yeah, please.
the ATV club is paying for the initial sign purchases and installation of those signs.
Do you have examples of communities similar to our size in Rock County? I guess I'm looking at probably like Edgerton or Evansville or Clinton. Have they introduced an ordinance or guidelines that you'd be willing to share with City Hall staff?
I don't.
Examples.
I don't have any copies of their guidelines. Clinton has established ATV routes through their town. Edgerton and Fulton Township are on hold right now. Everyone was kind of saying, "Hey, we're waiting to see what Rock County is going to do." So this has been a 2-year ongoing thing. And it got to Harmony approved it, but Lyman, Johnstown wanted to see what Rock County was going to do. And everyone's kind of waiting for everybody else to do something. And Harmony kind of stepped up and said, let's just start this ball rolling. Let's do this. So I don't really have any stats or numbers, but I can get ordinances from all the various, and but they're all kind of waiting to see what Rock County's ordinances to be so they can base theirs upon that.
Ryan?
What about surrounding counties, like Dane County or Walworth County?
Dane County, I know Dane County is open right up to the Rock County line over by Fulton. Jefferson County is all open. Walworth County is almost all open. If you look at Polaris Ride Command, if you ever go online or have an app, all their routes are coming right to this area and then just stop. So that could also, those people have the opportunity then they could come into town and get gas, and that'd also be a good economic advantage too.
I don't know this, and maybe I should, but what did the town of Milton do?
They're waiting to see what you guys are going to do.
Just talked to Brian this morning.
Okay, just out of curiosity. Any other questions or comments from anybody?
When you refer to Jefferson County doing it, that includes all of the communities in Jefferson as well?
Jefferson County as a whole opened up all their county roads for the possibility of becoming routes. Every township has to then come up with their own ordinances and everything. So I know Whitewater is open completely. All their city streets in Whitewater is open. Hebron, Helenville, Cold Springs, Koshkonong.
Sorry, what is
Sorry.
define open? What does that mean? I'm sorry, maybe I'm the only one not understanding. You said all the routes are open in certain cities and counties. What does open mean? Like they're designated ATV, UTV routes?
Yes, the city of Whitewater, they designate all their roads are open for ATV, UTV routes. The county is a separate thing than the cities. The counties only refer to the county roads. So like I know with Rock County's resolution, they have all their roads open to be available to be open as ATV routes. But each municipality has to apply for a permit if they want to use that county road to be available for a route.
So maybe you don't know this question, but you mentioned the city of Whitewater. So do they have a sign on every street, or do they have a sign at different entry points into the city of
At
Whitewater?
each entry point, they say all city streets and all roads, I can't remember the exact verbiage, in the city of Whitewater are ATV, UTV routes. So you don't have to put a sign at every street, just at every street that comes in to your town or city.
And the hours of riding.
And the hours. So they
And speed limit.
created ordinances around what hours ATVs and UTVs could be on the roads.
Yes.
Teresa, your mic.
Which are approximately,
Harmony's Township is, I think, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., I think is what they do. I know Rock County says there are no restrictions on time for the county roads. Each city can make their own, but then if you change different, then it's going to get confusing again. So that's why I was trying to create the ordinances together as a group whole. That's why we're kind of working with these 4 townships and the city of Milton. So everybody matches, and then there's no conflict there.
so if I want to take my children to school,
You could very well do that.
and Chief, what happens with regard to other regulations if I'm drinking and driving?
Yeah, those would fall under existing statutes. There are already laws prohibiting the operation of ATVs, UTVs while intoxicated.
Thank you.
Yes, you have to have a driver's license. If you're 16 years, I can't remember exactly how it goes. If you're under the age of 18, you have to have a ATV safety course, or is it 16? But if you're under 18, you have to have a helmet on. You have to wear seat belts on the side by side. You have to have helmets or headlights, taillights. You have to have insurance.
And they're licensed, right, through the state?
They have to be registered to Wisconsin DNR.
And just, sorry, clarifying question. So you have signs at all the roads coming into the city, but then you're asking for all streets within the city to be open for ATV, UTV
Correct.
driving. Okay.
Correct.
Anything else? Any other questions?
I would, ask staff to, especially Whitewater. Whitewater would be a good one to get, an urban take on it and some information both about what their restrictions are and how it's been working.
I think it'd be better to have one person contact them for us. If you have questions, contact that person rather than each of us pummel them with phone calls.
So are you making a motion to direct staff?
So I think he was trying to do, but I would also add in there the fact that can we get those documents that were handed out scanned in and sent to us via email so we can review them?
Yes.
I agree.
Okay, so
Go ahead and make a motion.
Okay, I'll make the motion to direct staff to talk to Whitewater to see how the ordinance went there and investigate the use of ATVs inside the city streets.
Is
I'll
there a
second that.
there's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Oh, wait, Teresa?
Can we give a date that we want any questions submitted to Jenny?
So you're not asking for like a public hearing, you're just asking, and when you're saying some questions submitted to Jenny, who are you directing that to?
Is that who will be contacting Whitewater?
Most likely, yes. Okay. All right. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? So what we'll do is staff will look into this, and when we have enough information to put it on for on an agenda for a next meeting, we'll post that to our website. I can't make any promises that it'll be in 2 weeks, but typically staff is really efficient, so I would say within 6 weeks.
Okay.
And maybe that's not as quick as you would prefer, but we are in the middle of recruiting for staff right now.
But I understand this is a really lengthy process. Like you said, we work with Harmony. It's been over 2 years, and our signs are just getting put up now. So
We have a lot of patience, and we appreciate
I do.
that.
Can I ask just one more quick question? Sorry.
Sure,
Is that possible?
Mark is the leader.
Yes.
Okay. Where would I find pros and cons cheat sheet to kind of look at the opening up our city for this kind of ordinance?
in that one packet I gave you about the guidelines, I believe there is pros and cons section in there.
Okay, I'll read it more if you're
Okay. If you guys want, we could send you a link. My Secretary Justin is in contact, I believe, someone here. We could send a link to some of the stuff. It's all online.
That's me.
Okay. We could forward that information on.
And
Go ahead.
I'm actually going to make one request though. Do you have an email address that you would like to share to that I can send information to you as far as asking any questions?
Sure,
Or
I'll have
just
Justin include me in that.
Okay, that would be great.
Okay.
Is there anybody else that wanted to speak on this? If you do, please come to the podium and give your first and last name and address. If you're done, okay.
Do you have any more questions for me?
Okay, guess not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
Richard Plouts, 125 Lucas Lane. Mayor and everybody else, we have a little history that shows that this can work. And what I mean by that is, ever since I've been a resident of Milton, going back to 1995, as a community, we have allowed snowmobilers to ride the roads to the nearest trail. And that has gone on for many, many years now, and maybe the chief can give me any updates if there's anything that has changed. But I'm not aware of anything going back to 2012 where any snowmobilers had any issues within the city of Milton, either getting to the trail or coming home to the trail or going out on the trail. So I think that speaks volumes about, number one, some of the community members in this town that take that type of opportunity, not to take advantage of it. But snowmobilers, in my opinion, and I know a lot about it. I'm the current president of the Sundowners in Edgerton, which is one of the largest snowmobile clubs in the whole state of Wisconsin. We have 240 members, and to have 240 members on a snowmobile club in southern Wisconsin is unheard of. However, it works, and you have to make sure that everybody understands the disciplines of what this action will be if it goes forward, which we all hope it does. But snowmobiles, by design, are louder than the ATVs. If you live on a road which goes towards the snowmobile trails, you probably hear snowmobiles at all hours of the night. ATVs are not nearly as loud as the snowmobiles. So we've made it work with snowmobiles in the last 10, 15 years. I have some data from 2013, because 2013, as you may all remember, that was a El Nino year. And this is an El Nino year, which means we're probably going to get a lot of snow this year. So all the snowmobilers back in 2013 that live in Milton, to get to the trail, to get back from the trail, as far as I know, there were no issues whatsoever. So like I said, I think we have a little prehistory that what we're asking to do now with ATVs and UTVs, I think this is a very, very doable opportunity for the community.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Is there anybody else that would like to speak? Anything, Brian? Thank you very much. And you all are welcome to stay for the whole meeting. It is not mandatory because you've already fulfilled your duty in team building. So and we appreciate your participation, and thank you so much for coming tonight. All right, discussion and possible action regarding update to procurement card policy.
Okay, I'll be presenting this on behalf of Treasurer Bannock, who was not here this evening. And so this is about the procurement card, P card, also basically is like a credit card that employees use. So just a little history of this. This is when, to make it simpler for employees to purchase items, we have it's a P card, and with that, for liability, each person has a P card. So the reason is because if it is a group P card, then we have no way of saying this is a fraudulent charge and we get that money back. Where if it's individual, then we are able to go ahead and get that money back with our credit card or P card company, and the P stands for procurement. So back in 2022, we decided to put a policy into effect. That original policy was on June 7th, that's when it was adopted. And now there has been questions about if someone leaves when that P card is terminated, so they cannot no longer make any charges. So with that, Treasurer Bannock has provided an update. There is a very simple update. It just includes a language upon the date of written resignation is when that card is terminated. And termination may be done simply as automatically, and it is either done by myself or Treasurer Bannock.
And when you say everybody has a P card, is that every single employee in the city, or?
That is not every single employee in the city. That's every single employee that department heads has designated that makes purchases on a consistent basis.
And then do they sign like an agreement? Is there a written agreement that they sign?
Yep, that is what is attached. That is the original procurement P card policy. So basically it says things like the fact of if it's your responsibility if you lost or have a lost or stolen card. Essentially probably the biggest portion and the biggest benefit that I can say is because it can happen is that if somebody were to make a fraudulent charge and we say, yes, this is a fraudulent charge, the credit card company will say, hey, was this something that was fraud? Was it that the employee did something incorrectly, or was it that you just don't know the answer? So if you know for sure this is not an authorized charge, as long as that person's name is on there and you terminate the employment, there is no liability on the city. The city then gets that money back, and then the credit card company goes after that person and takes legal action. So the other portion, the reason we have these is there is a rebate that is used on this, and so that money then goes to park improvements. So that's a benefit of it, and also for checks, because employees are able to make those purchases and get the positions or jobs done essentially quicker.
Any questions or comments?
How many cards do we have out right now?
I do not know that answer.
How are they collected then?
How are they collected? As
I
far
mean,
as
it's like a credit card, correct?
essentially it looks like a credit card, acts like a credit card. Yes. As far as collected, I'm not sure what you mean by collected upon resignation or
Yes.
so that we don't automatically they give it back to us. However, it has when that stops being able to be used is just a click of a button in the system. So when it no longer becomes active.
So I think the policy was to put in writing clear guidelines on, part of it is collecting those cards and just continuing the authorization for people to use those cards.
And this is number 12 on the policy is that it had originally said the card holder agrees should they end employment with the city of Milton, they will return the P card and all appropriate documentation to the city of treasurer. And now it's saying we've clarified that it is upon the date of written resignation.
Any other questions or comments?
I make a motion to approve the updated policy.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Is there anyone opposed? All right, that motion carries. Discussion and possible action regarding a change order number 2 for the West Tower Rehabilitation Project.
So I will present this change order on behalf of Mark, who's not here. So this basically solidifies the change that was done at the last meeting, and now we have the total change in price. So the logo change, that was the additional $4,260, but then they were able to find a different way of going through the process and finishing the process, and so the total contract change, which doesn't happen very often, is goes down by $20,640, and staff recommends the approval.
Questions and comments? Quite controversial to go down.
I would move approval of change order number 2 to the West Tower Rehabilitation.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? All right, that motion carries. PAA?
So PAA, they will be providing an update, but they did have a conflict this evening, so they may be a little later. And they requested to just, if possible, to go towards the end of the agenda.
Okay, general items. Committee reports. Okay. Oh, Eric's gonna do public works, okay.
So for, okay. So on August 8th, the Public Works Committee did meet and they reviewed the RFP for High Street. And this was a design engineering services to choose a firm. And so the Public Works Committee reviewed those, and I believe there was five bids that were received. And so they were reviewed and rated, and now Mark Langer is going to be going through and verifying the information, and then that will eventually come to council for approval.
And that was a very educational experience for Public Works because this is the first time that they had to go through and rate. And so they did a really good job, and it wasn't easy, and I just want to commend them for working through that process, and they did a very nice job. So good job, Public Works. Any other committee reports? Historic Preservation, Parks and Rec.
And there was no quorum for the Historic Preservation Commission.
Okay, staff reports. Chief.
We continue to do our best to encourage both residents and visitors to obey our road close signs. I've been in initial discussions with the school district. It is seeming as if school will start before the construction is finished. So I'll be working especially with West Elementary on what that looks like, because they'll probably be most profoundly impacted by that. Just started those talks today, so we'll continue to work through the issue and, again, encourage people that when the road's closed, the road's closed. And keep up the good work to those who are inconvenienced and going around anyway.
Okay, thank you. Ashley?
My teen advisory board has their library Lopez Dash for books this Saturday. Registration starts at 7:30. There's a 5K run and a 1 mile run walk at Showbury Park. Instead of registration fee, we are asking for donations to the library, to Milton Food Pantry, to Project 1649, or the Humane Society of Southern Wisconsin. Staff will also be at the Milton Maker Market on Sunday with supplies to make a simple derby car to race down our derby track. And we're going to be talking all about the Spark, our maker space. That's about it. Just busy.
Food truck rally?
Oh, yeah. There's so much going on in August. I keep forgetting. Our food truck rally is on Sunday, August 27th from 11 to 3 at the library. We have 9 trucks. And, of course, come take a look at the gorgeous Story Gardens. And we should have some benches out there by then.
Exciting stuff. Jenny, anything?
I don't think I have anything additional.
Yes, I did send the council a report that I did the last 2 weeks. That's the best way to give you a little bit background I'm working on. If you have any questions on that, I will take them. And the other thing is today, I've been in today and yesterday and today. I worked on finished a site plan for one portion, and I looked at another developer's agreement that I'm reviewing with the city attorney. And then I'm also working on another one. I just started working on one this afternoon based on development agreement.
So we are definitely keeping Dwayne busy, and that just makes the council so happy, I guess. Okay, anything else for anybody? Okay, we have completed our team building. So, Eric.
I would make a motion to convene into closed session pursuant to section 9.851C, Wisconsin Stats, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, regarding administrative services director and city hall staff, and pursuant to section 19.851G, conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Art,
That's unanimous?
is that unanimous? Yeah. Okay, we will be going into closed session, and then PAA will, if they're here, when we come out, they'll have their presentation. And other staff that aren't involved don't have to stick around. But you're always welcome to. Because I know the chief is counting down to how many meetings he gets to have with us.